This is the how-to video for the Doable Guide to the Law of Nourishment by Amanda Plevel, Dr. Foodie of drfoodie.live. So when you get your book, it's going to look something like this. What I want you to do is open the pages and actually cut them so that you have 4 sections. Okay, and I'll show you how to use those. Let me describe for a little bit. First, the reason that we do the Doable program is because there are so many fad diets out there. It's very hard to know how to eat in the body, if it serves the body or if it's just a fad diet, if it's going to work for you. The point is there are basic functions to foods. Foods have a reason why we eat them. Our bodies have basic functions that need to be served. If you open up into the beginning here, there's a couple intro pages. And then you'll get yourself to a function chart. And if you've worked with me before, I'm big into functional wellness, functional care of the body. Everything has a function, a purpose. Every food has a function, a reason of what it's going to be doing in your body. The functions are basically builders, eliminators, congestors, and lubricators. The builders are basically your protein products, your meats and your beans and your eggs. The eliminators are all those foods like fruits and vegetables that tear down and take waste out of the body. Congestors allow oxygen to be released for energy. Those are your basic breads, grains, any baked goods, sugars. And then the lubricators are all the lubricant foods. If you look at any food, that's basically all that a food can do in the body. Now, obviously, we need the builders to build our body. If you break your leg, you're going to want to rebuild those tissues. Your body needs to eliminate. If you are eliminating too much, let's say you're having some diarrhea, you're probably going to want to pull in some congestors there. But if you have too many congestors, you're probably going to end up constipated. The blood can thicken and not flow as easily. You need the lubricants. You need the lubricants for your cells, for your nerves, for your bone and joint tissue. If you're having some creaky joints, you're going to want to be making sure that your body is digesting fats well, that you're taking in good quality fats. So as you can see, that's just a quick little synopsis of some of the functions of what a food serves as it comes into the body. Now, this chart was from Dr. Thurman Fleet. If you've done any work with me, I have taken his original function chart and grown it and expanded it from all of the information that we've learned since then, but the basic premise hasn't changed. The functions have never changed overall. You know, think about the food pyramid. How many times has the food pyramid changed since you learned it in grade school? I don't trust something as a law of nourishment to keep me healthy if it's been changed by man repeatedly. If you look at the functions of the food, they have never changed. Okay, meat has always been a protein. That's never ever going to change no matter what fad diet comes in. So what we have to do is we have to learn the functions of these foods. Then we know when to take them into our body. Now for a basic health plan, you're going to basically take 1 builder for each meal. Now for every builder, you want to have 2 eliminators. The reason why is because this is a pH acidic food. This is a pH negative food. This is a pH acidic food. We want to make sure that there's balance there between the acidity levels. So for every builder or congester that you eat, you need 2 eliminators to help balance that out, to keep the body slightly alkaline, to help more waste come out than we are putting toxins in. Okay? Now, it's interesting to note that when we plan our meals, we basically plan them off of the meat and the bread, you know, the hamburger and the French fries, the meatloaf and the potatoes. And what's interesting about that is we don't get enough of these eliminators. Now, the categories that I work with people, I've expanded this even more to include all herbs. And he meant that too. This is all vegetation, all fruit, all vegetables. Okay, so now if we look at the functions of the food and we need 2 for each meal, what I've suggested that people do is follow a 4-step plan. So first you would eat raw eliminators, raw preferably, but eliminators, period. And the reason for doing this is because your body will be getting ready to digest everything else that comes in. Eliminators are very good with having natural enzymes, and enzymes are what is used to break down the food in the body. After that, you eat a builder, okay? You eat another eliminator. If you're still hungry after that, you eat a congester. Now, in planning your meals, I don't plan a lubricator because those come naturally within the foods that you're eating. You just want to make sure to keep that in your mind that you are getting some lubricators. You know, nuts and avocados are good fats that come into the body. So what you would do is you take your flip chart. In the back of the book, I've got one example up here, but in the back of the book, there's like 12 of these blank sheets. It makes it very easy to make yourself a meal plan using the flip chart. So you notice how each section has 4 lines, and that would be for your first eliminator, your builder, your second eliminator, and your congester. Now you've got a fully balanced Law of Nourishment breakfast planned, and you do that for every meal that you're going to be eating that day. Circle the things that you need to pick up at the grocery store, and you're on your way. And the beauty is they're all included in the book, so if you have 12 of them, that's 3 months of already planned meals where you can just rotate them now and reuse them. So there's a couple ways that you can use this flip chart. I'm going to turn now to the flip pages themselves. Okay, so you've already cut yours into 4 sections. So you've got your 2 eliminators, you've got your 1 builder, and you've got your congester. Okay, this is also the order in which you eat them. You don't necessarily have to separate eating your protein products first and then eating your vegetables. But the idea is that at least you would get some raw eliminators in right away at the beginning of your meal. And the congesters are at the end because we typically plan them too much into the meal. And it's also easy if there's anybody that has any illness or inflammatory illness where we have just deleted that section altogether. We just don't use this part of the flip. We would just use the top 3 then. Okay, so if you've noticed after you flip here, and there are 3 colors, you can see. Oh, my camera doesn't show it very well, but when you get your book, you can see that there's a slight color variation, and that's basically for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But you know, only because people wanted it separated that way. I don't care if you were to eat, you know, almond butter for breakfast or if you had roast beef. Okay, you can use any of these flips. It doesn't necessarily have to be just the breakfast section if that's the lunch you're working on. So you can flip any chart that you want to. So first you're going to need some enzymes in this top eliminator category. So you've picked some high antioxidant juice. Let's say you're going to have some almond butter on a croissant, and you're going to have applesauce with that. That's your breakfast. Okay, now you just go back and you write that into your chart on the 4 lines. You would write high antioxidant juice, almond butter, applesauce, and croissant. Notice that there's a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4. That means that you've completed all 4 steps. Now, let's see if I can find one here. There's some, like this one, that say 2 and 4. What that means is this already completes step 4. So you don't need to pick anything. We'll just turn that one blank. Nope, it's not cut. You don't need to pick anything from this category. So now you have a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4. That's your 4-step balanced meal. Okay? As you can see, excuse me, there are blank pages. My son's cut these so you can see. Yours will turn easier because they'll be a little better cut, I'm hoping. There are some blank ones. There are plenty of options. So the blank ones are, in case you see that I haven't put something in there and that's something that you typically eat, just go ahead and write that in. The 5 that you would see means lubricator. Remember that in the 4-step meal, we don't plan for the lubricators. We just know that we'll be getting them in our foods as we eat. So we just want to watch and make sure that there's not too many 5s in there. And if it doesn't have a 5, that's not a big deal. So if you, let's say you've filled in some, you know, something additional that I didn't have in here. And let's say that, oh, I don't eat meat. All you do, rip that one out. You're never ever going to use it. Okay, this is completely customizable. For any people that have some inflammatory bowel issues or are maybe when you're ill and you've been advised to have an anti-inflammatory diet, you just don't use this congester section. Let's say you're gluten-free or grain-free. You just never turn over this congester section, and you only plan your meals using 1 through 3. What's wonderful about this book is you can use this to flip your meals. Okay, flip your meals. What are we going to eat today? Let's see. Eggs Benedict. Ooh, and a caramel roll. And you've seen that, you know, I'm assuming that we're helping people from every phase of their health journey. I've put things in here that I don't necessarily eat, but that people eat. I want to show you that when in balance, you can still eat those foods. Now, obviously, if you're working on something more along your health journey, you're going to be deleting certain foods, and that's fine. But if you're basically just using this to enjoy the foods that you like to eat, you're going to see that I put other things in here like hot dogs and donuts and things that you may want to use. If you never want to use it, just rip it out. Okay? You fill in your meals. You add them to your chart. Where did that chart go? There it is. You would write those 4 things, flip it again, move on to the next breakfast, flip it again, move on to the next breakfast, and do that until it's all filled out. It's also easy to use. Let's say I have to go to work for that day. So I'm going to flip this open and family, this is what I've got for you to eat today. Oh, we've got a 2 down here, so we can just close this one. Normally I have this cut, this one too, so that you can just leave it closed if you don't need that section. Then I can say, okay, family, here's what you're going to eat today. Then I leave it on the counter and they know exactly what is for supper or lunch or breakfast. It's easy for me to say, okay, honey, I have to be gone. Can you fix supper for today? And so we pull aside whatever it is that we've planned. He knows exactly what's planned now, and that's what we're eating for our meal. So now he can easily make that meal. Okay, so you can use this flip chart daily, or you can plan your meals ahead of time and then just follow the planned chart. What I love about this is it's easy for kids to pick what they want to eat, because you know that if they've flipped one of each, you know that it's going to be a balanced meal. Okay, so that's what we're going to eat. Your child picked that. You know that it's in balance. That's a good meal. Okay, if you have any questions, just email us info@drfoodie.live, and I hope you have a good time learning how to use the law of nourishment.